Hi, it's Alicia from Green Light Healing, and today my video is just a walkthrough of what a session with me is like for those of you who are curious and want to find out more. I'll talk a little bit about what happens before the session, during the session, and after the session. I'll cover mostly energy healing. I'll touch a little bit on tarot, but obviously if you want to have a session with me, you need to book. And that would be via my website, www.greenlighthealing.net. And I'll pop a link below. You can pay by PayPal or card. I live in Japan, so the banking is not super connected, but I'm going to try and add some other methods as well for payment. And then again, because of my time zone and because I have clients all around the world, I try to be flexible with timing. So I haven't actually listed a slot that you need to choose from, just because it might just get a bit complicated. So the easiest way to set up a time would be to email me, or I'll email you. If you book by a session, I'll get a notification and I can email you. Or you can just let me know what times work for you, or where you're based, basically. So that's before the session. Then the actual call or the session time. So for tarot, when we set up a time, that's the time that I'm going to take information from you to get the background, and then I'll be doing the reading live, and that would be by video call or voice call or something like that. It could be Zoom or Skype or whichever other method works for you. The information I take from you is confidential. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. And then if we're doing an energy healing session and not tarot, the call time is actually just for me to take your background information. So we would be discussing the issue, kind of, what's bothering you, how long has it been there, how you feel now, how you'd like it to be different, if you've got pain or insomnia, like just details like that. And perhaps I might need things like, okay, are you taking any medication? Have you seen a doctor about this? Do you take supplements? That kind of stuff. Yeah, for the energy healing, it's a little bit more kind of medical background, if you want to put it that way. So that's the call time. And then for energy healing, I would do the session either immediately after the call or at another time that is convenient for you. And again, it really does depend on my client's time zone and what they're doing at the time, like what their schedule's like. What I mean by that is I like to do the session for my client when they're relaxing or sleeping, or just not doing anything mentally or physically taxing. The reason is people do sometimes feel sleepy. They might sometimes feel emotional, or just that, like, they don't feel so great as things are kind of shifting. Like they might feel a little bit agitated, or they get very spacey and they kind of can't concentrate. This sounds very dramatic. It's not really like this for everyone, but I just like to be careful, and I don't want people to be driving or operating heavy machinery or writing exams or doing their taxes, that kind of thing. So we'd be talking about that even probably before we have that call. So you book, we arrange the call, and then I do the session either right after the call or at another time that we would have agreed. I hope that makes sense. I'll talk a bit more about the session a little bit later in this video, but basically, when we do the session, I'm taking notes for energy healing. After the session, I'll let you know what I've found. So it could be something very simple like, okay, well, you had a meridian imbalance and this is what showed, and I've corrected it now. And there might not be a lot of detail for you to take away, but sometimes I do have a lot to say, and that might be, okay, well, this chakra was out of balance, and this can, be related to these kinds of themes. And I found these emotions that related to these ages in your life. Does that make sense to you? That kind of thing. So with that follow-up, that could be by text message, email, voice note, call, video call, whatever works for you, because it's also a chance for you to either kind of, yeah, that makes sense, no, I don't really remember that, and you can ask questions as well, because sometimes the stuff I get, it's like maybe a keyword, and then you might need, we might need to have a little talk about it and for it to kind of make sense in the context of, you know, the session. Sometimes I find stuff that people haven't told me about, and they're like, oh yeah, wow, I didn't know you'd see that. You don't actually have to discuss anything with me unless you really want to, but you can feel free to ask questions. Yeah, just, you know, some memories are like a little bit too raw or too old, or like it's kind of none of my business really. It's just like what I'm trying to do is bring things up and then release them. So I just want people to not feel like pressured into talking about something that they might not feel ready to at that time, and that's totally fine. All right, so after that post session follow-up, I'll probably message you or email you again in a couple of days just to see how you're doing, how you feel. The effects of a session can take, you know, a few days to really integrate. And then if you want another session, basically, if you were having kinesiology every day, I would say that's too often. But other than that, probably you can have a session whenever it works for you. Depends what we're working on, what's your availability, and, you know, all of the other stuff that's going on in your life. So that's kind of walking through the session. I can never really predict what's going to come up in a session. And, you know, I can't. I'm just doing the session, and then I kind of see what happens. And that's what I report back to you afterwards. But, you know, in terms of the actual session, sort of how it works in terms, because I do distance healing, right? So you would have given me permission to connect to your energy only for the session. And that this applies to energy healing and tarot reading, right? In energy healing, I do the session on my own body. My body acts as a surrogate for your body. So I'm muscle testing myself. Use the information that we've discussed, and that guides me, you know, all those books there, my other books here, the information that we've gathered points me to the right protocol to use. It's kind of like navigating kind of the landmark and routes, and what we end up doing is kind of laser focusing on where this energy block is, and then the actual release techniques are very simple. It mainly involves me either sending energy via my hands and fingers. It could be me touching acupoints or reflex points, or you know, meridians, that kind of thing. I just feel like I should say that because sometimes people go, yeah, I feel better, but what did you do? And mainly that's what I'm doing. So I only work on what is safe to work on. I take the notes obviously during the session so that we can discuss it later. I want to reiterate that your information is confidential. And then once I'm done with the, you know, clearing and finishing the protocol, I close out the session. So I disconnect from your energy, and I take safety precautions so that my energy stays with me, your energy stays with you, and that's all the energy involved. But it's actually quite common for me to kind of hit a wall and not be able to complete a protocol, especially with maybe a new client, or they're extremely stressed, or the issue they want to deal with is kind of old and stubborn, or just, you know, really big and has been difficult for them. So I get this kind of short circuit where, like, okay, the protocol, I can't proceed further. I have to then immediately clear that kind of energy, that short circuit or that big energy block. And then I need to let your body, kind of your system, come back to some kind of equilibrium, and then I can go back and complete the protocol. Or I just, you know, you would have bought a 1 hour energy healing session with me, so I will complete the rest of the time that you've paid for. It's very common for that to happen. So if I've told you that, then you don't have to be alarmed. It's just what has happened is the act of the energy healing has brought something up that really needs to be cleared, and that's what I'm clearing. So in the end, I am working on the priority issue. It's very difficult for me to be able to complete that session on the same day. Normally I can only go back to it the next day. It just, whenever I ask the body, is it safe to continue working, if I get a yes or a no, that's what I follow. So if it's not safe for me to continue working on you, right after that, then I don't. I'll wait for another time. I'd let you know so that we can, again, just double check that you're not doing anything super demanding when I do the energy work. So that's quite a lot of detail. Maybe it sounds a bit jargony. So, I just want to explain a bit about what I do, how it works. But if you've got any questions at all, please email me your queries and questions. The booking and contact link that I'll pop below will have my email address, or rather, there's a form on my website that you can send your queries to. I think that's about all I have to say, but yeah, just have a look at the description below and see, click the links that apply to you. And if not, thank you very much for listening to my video, and I'll see you here or on Facebook or on Instagram or on my website, blog, somewhere. I'll see you somewhere. Okay, have a nice day. Bye.